Whew. That was shellacking, to be honest. Back from RCA Saners. Game's just finished. We lost by 44 points in our final Pracky, the Amy Community Series, I believe it's still called. 49 in the end to 93. Started the game. I mean, it's like we didn't come out of the rooms, to be honest. It was, I think, 39-1 in the first quarter. I think it could have blown out, but I don't know if Port kind of slowed down towards the end or we picked up. But yeah, that was, that was a major letdown. I was expecting more. I don't know if I was expecting to win, but I was definitely expecting a more competitive outfit, irrespective of, experimentation and the demographic, the difference in experience, which was on show, to be honest. Port, I was with a friend and it was very much men against boys for 3.5 quarters of the game, They are a very seasoned team and it was on show. It was on show. We, again, struggled going inside 50. Hilariously, I mean, if you think about it, it's crazy stats. They had, I think, over 100 more handballs. They were very handball happy, but they got through, and that shows a major lack of effort on our end. But on the flip side, they also had nearly, I think, 200 more in overall disposals, but we had more inside 50s. Can you believe that? I'm pretty sure, at least when I checked, it was 44-41 or 42 our way. And it was 7-8 goals the difference, which is just a head scratcher. But at the same time, when you look at our form of entries and just the way we butchered the football, and then you look at Port, who would continually handball through the middle, overlap, then have a lead-up player. We were the opposite. We'd go through the midfield, but then immediately look wide. We'd always go wide. We'd go the safe option, and the safe option is the safe option for a reason. It's just less dangerous to the opposition. It's easier for us to execute, but it just doesn't really turn into anything most of the time. And turnover was a key thing. Anytime we stuffed up in the back half, they would score. Anytime we got a turnover, even in our front half, we wouldn't hurt them from it. But again, it is a preseason game, so I want to remind myself, Jake, don't go too crazy. It is preseason. It is preseason, Saners. Remember that. We lost to Melbourne here, I think, in 23. We made finals that year, but we lost to them by like 10 goals here. I remember that. It was almost worse than this. But Boxall, again, a big tick. He should play round one. Kilda actually showed a lot late. Did he show more than Caminiti did? That's going to be an interesting discussion because I think he almost did. A bit more versatility, can play ruck, back, forward, kick to goal. McRae was excellent, our leading possession getter. At one point it was him on 30, the next best was Steele at 20, then Naz at 18. And speaking of Naz, tried to be a bit too cute. I think in general we tried to be too cute in this game. I don't know why, but we tried to just make things more complicated than they are. Boyd was alright. I thought Garcia was good. They put him, I think, on Horn Francis for a bit late, and he was right in front of me. He worked him under the ball, got it out. Really smooth move there. Smooth move from Garcia. Back half is still a major worry, but when you lose it, you've got Dougal Howard out. It's makeshift galore, and it was Cordy. Finn Layson had like 30 possessions or something, so I don't know what the hell he was doing or who was on him, but he was all over the joint. And our smalls, again, I called them out last week, Higgins and Butler. Still not doing enough for me. When they don't touch the ball, there's not enough pressure being applied, and it's just still one of those things where if they don't kick goals, I don't see the value. Like, I'm just being blunt. I don't see the value. I almost want to see Travaglia there or put Wilson deep for a little bit. Even Max Hall, who was pretty good for the majority of the game, to be honest. But I'm going to be very keen to hear like Ross's thoughts on it, on, was this a trial sort of game? Because I felt like we threw Naz into the middle at one point. Keeler was forward, but he has been playing back for a lot of training, so kind of seeing what his approach to this game was, as opposed to last week, because we would have approached both games very differently. But I was hoping for a bit more of a consistent effort, maybe not the win, but just a competitive outing to prime ourselves for round one, not something that raises more questions again. And then you lose Owens. He was in a sling, I saw, so we're going to have to get tests on that and see where that comes back, but hopefully that's not a major thing. But you know, we've never had really good luck in these sort of practice games. We've seen Windhager go down a couple of times. Now it's Owens. Still players to come back, obviously, but for a player like him that plays quite a unique role, I think it would hurt us if he doesn't play, particularly because our forward line's already lacking in power and height and size. And that was another thing that stood out to me, was how big and how tall Port Adelaide were compared to us. But I think, like what David King said on the radio last week, we are thin, we are young. I hate saying that, it's not an excuse, but it's a fact. So a lot of teams are going to bully us physically. So what do we do to combat that? You got to get the ball on the outside, you got to have an uncontested game, and you got to run. And I talk about how well we're running at training. It's well documented that we're a quick running team. It wasn't on show again today. I don't think Darcy Wilson took a single bounce. Brad Hill got a bit of it, Wilson did, but overall I feel like, there's definitely more question marks on my side. Probably missing a couple of points here, but I just thought they just had way more intensity. Like, watch the replay. Watch when they get the ball in the first minute. You can tell they're on, and you can tell we're not. A bit lackadaisical, a bit too slow on the turnover. Didn't hurt them. Didn't try to hurt them. Very casual game on our side. So definitely a lot to work on in the next 2 weeks, but it could be a blessing, getting this game now, identifying exactly how they really tore us apart in that first half in particular. It could have gotten really ugly, but to the boys' credit, or to Port's credit for relaxing a little bit. I felt like we got a little bit of intensity going in the second half, but the scoreboard was ticking over. But as I'm sure Ross will reiterate, scoreboard isn't really the most important thing going around right now. It's very much finding the balance, finding where these players best fit. Standout, well, maybe not the standout, but he definitely stood out to me in moments, was Angus Hastie. Took some really nice marks, and he's one of the smaller blokes, right? But he's utilising that outside skill set that he's got. His kicking, I thought, was really good in pressure situations, which I can't say for a lot of the rest of the team. We just constantly bomb it. Port were lacing it out. Little chip kicks, just relieving pressure. We gain pressure and then bomb it out of bounds or turn it over. So composure was a big difference in this game, as was experience and intensity. I think at halftime we were at 140 for pressure rating, and the AFL average is 180, I think, off the top of my head. So we were well down in that regard. But I mean, you win these games by 10 goals and people say, hey, it's just a pracky, and then you lose these games by 10 goals and then people say, hey, you got serious problems. So you take a bit of both worlds, right? It's not as bad as what it looks like, but it's obviously not as good. So we still have work to do, but it's not panic stations right now. Let's get to round one. Let's get some players back if we can. I know Hunter Clark played in the VFL, so did Irish Shawnmaker. Hopefully Sinclair, Rowe, these sort of guys can get up for round one. I don't think King will, but we'll wait and see. And from there, then we can really delve in, and the blowtorch is on. Like, we're not taking this easy. I don't want to approach the season in a way that's, we're accepting losses like this. This is unacceptable. I still think, even in a pracky, you want to start developing habits, good habits, and if you're not winning, you want to develop in-game habits, and I didn't really see much of that today. And obviously winning is the best sort of habit. You win once, you win twice, you get on a roll. It sort of just becomes second nature in a way, and that's all you know. But obviously not. We're not there yet. We're still building towards that. It was a great turnout by the fans, but the club didn't really deliver in terms of the performance. But I'm not panicking, but there are questions, more so than last week. So put your thoughts in the comments, Saners. What was your main positive? What was your main concern out of this game? And I'll have my 5 things we learned from this tomorrow. So that'll be an interesting one. What did I learn from this? We'll wait and see. But on that note, Saners, take care, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and as always, go you mighty Saners. See you guys.